The objective of this section is to increase your competence level, enabling you to become a safe driver and increase your driving ability. Now, an often used phrase, natural born talent. We've all come across great sports personalities, singers, actors, scientists. They seem to pick up this skill so easily. Now the question is, they still have to work to reach the top, but were they born with that talent, or is it something they've learned? Now you might have heard of the nature and nurture debate. Are we born talented, or is it something we learned? What sets apart David Beckham and Wayne Rooney from somebody who plays in the Sunday League perhaps? Whatever it is, you still need the drive, enthusiasm and dedication to succeed at whatever you try, and that includes learning to drive. Now, everybody's core competence level differs in different areas, so whether you're naturally talented or you find driving difficult, the techniques in this DVD are really going to help you to improve more quickly. Now, we all enjoy doing the things we're good at. What I want you to do is stop the DVD in a moment and just take a moment to think back to school. Think of a couple of subjects that you absolutely loved. The teacher was great, you learned easily, you found it fun. And then think of a couple of subjects you hated. Maths, sports, science perhaps, I don't know. And then think about the teachers and what it was like walking into those classrooms. What I want you to do now is take a note of your reactions. What was the difference between the subject you loved and the subject you hated? So, what can you do if you don't consider yourself to be a natural driver? Well, you could take taxis for life, get yourself a bus pass, you could even catch lifts off friends, or you could persevere through those gritted teeth till you finally clutch that elusive pass certificate. However, the good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. But if you go from one lesson to the next and don't think about your driving in between each lesson, then I guarantee that you'll forget so much of what you've learned. And sometimes it'll feel like you've had one lesson repeated 10, 20 or 30 times because you're just covering the old ground. So what would it be like if it didn't have to be that way? Well, the good news is by using the stress-busting techniques in this DVD for only 5 or 10 minutes each day, I guarantee that you'll pass your test stress-free and in fewer repetitive lessons. Now, it's really important that you measure your progress. The majority of instructors have things called a progress record, so they will mark how you're progressing on each lesson. They might have subtitles such as under instruction, prompted, seldom prompted, test standard or the like. They basically boil down to 4 main sections of learning. Now, these seem a little bit technical and complicated, so let's make them a bit easier in layman's terms. So the first one is unconscious incompetence. So take riding a bike. You don't know that you can ride a bike because you've never tried. The next one is conscious incompetence. You know you can't ride a bike because you've just fallen off it. The third one is conscious competence. Now this is the one where most drivers are at partway through their driving lessons. They can do it, but they have to think about everything. They have to think about every mirror check, when they're signalling, what the road position is, what gear they should be in, how quickly they're lifting the clutch, so they can drive adequately, but everything takes so much effort. And then finally, you get to that wonderful state of learning called unconscious competence, and you can do it without thinking. Now that is the hardest one to get to, because when you do something thinking about it, it's, as we said, conscious. When you can do something without thinking, that's the most fantastic feeling. Now, what these exercises will do is enable you to move to that final stage so you can drive without thinking. So what we've learned now is that the easy part is actually controlling the car. The difficult bit is remembering how to do it and the judgment. The most difficult aspect of learning to drive is actually mental, not physical ability. I guarantee that instructors spend their lives repeating the same basic instructions to their pupils because they forget so much of what they've learned from lesson to lesson. Now, you know that your competence level is increasing when you move from being what's called a reactive driver to a proactive driver. Now, they may be phrases you've not heard before. So let's give you an example. You've got some milk cooking on the stove and you watch it boil over. You then take the pan off, scrub the burnt scrubby bits off the bottom, and you clean your stove. That was reacting to the milk boiling over. However, if you were being proactive, you would have watched the milk, seen that it's starting to bubble a little bit and get warm, then you take it off the stove. Now, out of those two, which do you think's the best? So now let's relate this to driving. You're driving along a road in town and there is a white van parked in front of you with its hazard warning lights on, and you're on a short stretch of dual carriageway and the van's in the left-hand lane. Now, let's just have a look at the difference between being reactive and proactive. So, if you're reactive, what you'll do is you'll come down to the van, the last minute, you'll spot it's got its hazards on and it's stopped. You'll go, oh, no, oh, right, I better check my mirrors. Oh, I'm holding that car up. Oh, right, okay, thank you very much for letting me out. Now, that's what a lot of learners will do when they're first having the lessons. How much better, though, to be proactive? So how could you do this? Well, you would be scanning ahead in the distance. You will see the van's got its hazard warning lights on. So the first reaction you should be having is looking in your mirrors behind and to the side to see it's safe to pull over. You check that it's clear to go. You've done the appropriate mirror checks. You then signal and you move out. Now, that's the difference between being proactive and reactive. Now, the sooner that you can move your drive from one to the other, the sooner you're going to become a safe, confident and competent driver. And that's what the techniques in the Stress Buster section, especially the visualization exercises, will help you with.